salt, we die to little salt, we die too much sugar, we die to less sugar, we die if, the pressure is too much, we die, pressure is too less, we die so flimsy, but yet we're here. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you add all the fine-tuning, person can say, the saucer landing there is coincidence. The cup landing on there is also a coincidence. The kettle boiling is a coincidence. The water landing in there is coincidence. The tea bag in there is coincidence. Do you see? So then I know you want to jump in and I'd love that. So then just to end, the inference to the best explanation with regards to everything that we see, when we concede that there are three options. Number one, the universe created itself. Number two, it came by chance. Or number three, it was created by somebody or by an entity. I would say the inference to the best explanation is the third. Logically, rationally, how we live our life, explanation, yes, indeed, we could say that, okay, but then that also begs this question and that's fantastic. We can go into that. But would you say that the inference to the best explanation does suggest that the third of the options makes sense to us rationally? Or you could just ask me another question and ignore what I said.
Well, on some of the things you said, you were talking about the fine-tuning of the 3% of water being drinkable, the oxygen. I'd say that goes back to the argument that I think quite poorly I made it, but about the puddle in the ground, saying, wow, this hole in the ground was built for me. It's the exact same shape as me. It was built for me. And then in reality, it's just the puddle took the shape of the hole in the ground, not the hole was built for the puddle. I think that's humans doing that again. It's like, wow, what are the chances? This is so impossible. Someone had to have made the Goldilocks zone for our planet to exist in, to not get fried by the sun or get frozen beyond comprehension. The oxygen.
Okay, let me jump in because you made a good point. I've heard this point a couple of times before, but I want to find out then, so how do you explain the fine-tuning?
Well, I think that it's just by chance a bunch of things, it's evolution. You adapt to the situation that you're in over millions and millions of years. Humans didn't come around, we didn't wake up one day and exist in a society, no. There was tons of the Homo sapiens, and then before that, do you remember? The ones that came before us, they all died out because, well, they didn't all die out, but some did because they weren't suited to the environment, they weren't competitive enough.
But bear in mind, when it comes to evolution, that evolution starts with the first self-replicating DNA. Yeah, it doesn't explain how the first organism was there in the first place and where that actually starts from. Evolution says that, look, tell us, Big Bang, how it all started. Let's start with the first organic matter and, we can explain how, using the data, that the best explanation that we have at the moment is the tree of life. Yeah, because even evolution, it depends. Do you mean like natural selection? Do you mean Darwinian tree of evolution? But that doesn't explain how we get the first kind of self-replicating DNA, whether it's the amoeba or whatever you want to call it. Like, how were the conditions for that finely tuned? Am I correct to assume that you're saying that it just happened by chance, trial and error?
No, I think by chance implies that I think that it just kind of happened. I don't think it just kind of happened. I think that
okay, brilliant.
It was trial.
Sorry, I want to...
Sure.
So when you were arguing about the teacup and then magically, the curtain made the whatever, you're arguing that in terms of coincidence, the chance of that happening, that's within the 80 years of your life that happening, and you happen to live in that house, whatever, right? But the chances of you living in a planet with the temperature and whatever, the chances of that, you're looking at the scale of the whole billion years of the universe's existence and all the millions, trillions of planets that there are. There's nothing special about this specific planet. We would have said the same conclusion based on any planet that we were on. You sort of get what I'm saying?
Just summarize it again.
Sorry, so you're saying that the teacup thing is impossible, but the chance of that happening is so low, and you're using that argument for why the finding...
So are you saying that because there's a difference in time scales, you're saying, yeah? Okay, so you're saying that, but wouldn't that also make the point that, let's just say, if I see a phone, or even the teacup, and it's there over thousands and hundreds and thousands of years, The thing there would be, it still cries out intelligence. I'll tell you why. Because where there is a degree of hypocrisy in the sense that, you know, even archaeologists, archaeologists, I'm confusing them with paleontologists. So archaeologists, when they dig stuff up, when they see maybe like a vase or something, they don't conclude that it came by chance, isn't it? They don't say that, oh, this just popped, and, you know, they say, we found something that belongs to a civilization, because there are certain things that indicate design. So that's what I'm saying, that even with human beings, there are certain things within us that indicate design. Design enough for survival, enough for purpose, even the fact that we have consciousness, the fact that we have, you know, cognitive abilities, that we can question these things. Because if a person was to say, no, it's just by chance. And that's why your point was interesting, because that would assume, you know, when you say that, oh, trial and error implies that there's a degree of natural selection taking place even when it comes to the universe, which again would require evidence. And I don't think there's a theory that has been posited as such. There's actually a thing, but I'm gonna again kick myself because I've forgotten what it's called, but it's saying, it's similar argument to what you said, which is good, by the way, that because we see a puddle, we think that it fits. But bear in mind that if the crater that has the water, if that crater becomes less, then the water fits in. If the crater becomes more, the water will still fit in. Hence Bruce Lee's statement, be like water. Have you heard of that? No. He says, water can flow, water can crash. Be like water, my friend. Yeah, and it's very profound, because he's trying to say, be fluid. Be fluid in your movements. My accent wasn't very good.
I think it was great.
Yeah, thank you. So that's the thing. But human beings, when you start, if the Earth was slightly a bit away, I would say about 4% away from the sun, we would die. It would be too cold. If you would 4%, within 4% close, it would be too hot. We would die. If the Earth starts spinning less, we would die. That's why people are so hung up on going to Mars, because they're saying, oh, the orbit of the Earth is slowing down. Oh, we have this thing in our galaxy that's heading towards us. We do now need to be thinking about X and Y. We need to be prudent. So if we were like the water in a puddle, then we wouldn't mind. We'd say that, you know what, whatever happens, we would just adapt. But the fine tuning, maybe I should have given you examples. So the fine tuning, one was of carbon, being 1% finely tuned. 2% is actually the Earth, and the Sun needs to be within 2%. Then we go to 1 in 10 to the power 16. That's the degree of fine tuning of the atom, the nuclear strong force and the electromagnetic force. These two need to be 1 in 10 to the power 16. In fact, even the expansion at the beginning of the Big Bang is 1 in 10 to the power 55. So when we start going, you're a mathematician, you know that when it comes to a certain amount of zeros, you say, you know what, negligible. Like even the calculator gives up at a certain degree. So when it comes to the probabilities that we're dealing with, they are incredibly precise. Like so precise, a person's like, okay, you got me interested now. That's the sort of fine tuning I'm dealing with, not just the typical dead ones that we hear about.
What you're saying can be argued with like the multiverse theory, how there's like so many different, the many world interpretation, how there's like an infinite amount, that such insignificance doesn't matter since there's an infinite amount.
Excellent, good. But multiverse presupposes a universe, isn't it? Which, again, it's like saying the universe created itself. The universe, oh, is that mine? Oh, thank you. You're very kind. I didn't bring you anything. So when you say the universe created itself, that presupposes a universe, isn't it? It's like saying, yeah, my son. What, you have a son? Oh, no. So the universe, if I say, explain the universe, you say, okay, so the universe created itself, but there were other universes, and even that, I think that multiplies the problem. Because we can't explain one universe, it's a theory, it's not proven at all, and we're saying, you know what, it could be, there could be loads of universes. There's actually not a shred of evidence for the multiverse theory. It's interesting looking into it, and they're working on it. String theory, Michio Kaku and these guys doing a good job. But again, that universe would depend on something else, and that would depend on something else. And there has to be an end to the causal chain. That's why I try to undercut that by saying the contingency argument, just in case you guys want to search that up later. So I don't think that we're like the water in the thing, because we wouldn't be wanting to go to Mars. We'd be content with planet Earth, and we'd say we just adapt. Like people say, they say with giraffe, they wanted to get the fruit on the highest, part of the tree. That's why, the neck started. I wouldn't mind getting an apple in the top of the tree, I wouldn't mind the long neck. But the point is that, again, there's a degree of rationality.
I guess what you're saying is sort of to like...
inference to the best explanation.
Sorry, it's like similar to the rules of maths, how there are these axioms that you can't argue with and not allowed to argue with to make maths work. And you can like challenge these axioms and you get like different results for that. Is that sort of what you're trying to say with the universe? That's
a good point, actually, because the necessary being is like an axiom or a presupposition for you to even do maths. In fact, for us to even do science can't prove maths. It can't. Science can't prove the law of non-contradiction. Science can't do that. Science can't prove that you shouldn't kill an innocent person. These are things that science can't prove. These are presuppositions for you to do science. In fact, even induction as well. I don't want to patronize you guys. I'm assuming you know these things. If you don't, just say, look, can you just elaborate on that? I don't know what that means. It's too technical. So there's a certain presupposition. Even with maths, there are presuppositions as well. But what I'm saying is that if you take philosophy, if you take rationality, if you take teleology, cosmology, I think the case that's built for a God is the best inference to the best inference to the best explanation. Is the inference to the best explanation, other than chance? It just came by chance, or I'm not saying that's what you said, by the way. It just came by chance, or it created itself. Because for us to say any of the other things, even if we look at our experience, like I think we have enough time. Like this is what we suggest for the Earth as well, isn't it? The Earth is for I think how many billion years old? I think about 100 million since we're here, then 4 billion, and then like 13, yeah. So along those lines, and that was enough for the red blood cells to come together, the proteins to come together. Which ironically, if you actually look, like just the sperm and the egg, if you just look at the precise nature by which a sperm attaches to the ovum egg, the precise nature of the proteins in our body, the amino acids, that if some of them are not of a certain fit, it just doesn't happen. So when a person says, you know what, this is by chance, so the blood cells, by chance, oxygen by chance, this by chance, that by chance. So how would you then respond? Because I did think your example was a good one, I liked it. But how would you now retort to that?
I think with the sperm and the egg, the attachment, all that, it just happened to be the most efficient way at the time. There was a bunch of animals, and then the one with the best mechanism survived. I think it's just evolution. I don't see anything particularly grand in that. I don't see that as evidence for this. And also,
I think you do. I'll tell you why. When you see an artwork, like nowadays art has become quite pathetic. Let's be honest. Splodge on a canvas is classified as art. Just an empty canvas. People might be, I guarantee, if you hung that in the Tate, people would look at that like, profound, wow. But that's just...
you attach a big enough price tag.
Exactly. So when you see just a drawing, you assume, you don't say, you know what, that could have come over years, and that. But the thing is, look, art is based upon humans. Art is based upon landscape. So the fact that art is appreciated to such a degree, then surely that presupposes that human beings are wondrous. And I would argue they are special in their beauty, in their complexity, in their intelligence, such that an artist would sit for hours drawing a human being, and that image of the human being would be sold for hundreds and thousands, but yet when it comes to the human being, people say could have come over thousands and thousands of years. You know what? I remember a time, I was once an amoeba egg, I was an amoeba cell, and then I became a fish. And I get it, it's a way that people think, but I think people are becoming, people are unjust, and they're not consistent. Like when they'll see a vase, they will naturally assume that, there was some intelligence behind it. You're not just going to say, it could, if left over millions of years, it could. Would you say that?
Yeah.
You would, yeah?
Well, no, but...
There you go. So what's your name?
Ron.
Avan. Ron. So Ron, that's my point. That when it comes to our daily life, when it comes to even science and stuff that we do, we don't hold such a high bar and criteria. We would never say a vase just popped into existence.
Can I just jump in? Do you know the Hand of God nebula? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know nebulas, but not the Hand of God nebula.
Can I pull out my phone and show it?
Yeah.
It's a nebula that looks like a hand, and due to this, everyone says, well, it's a hand. You can say it looks like a hand. This is evidence for God. This is my...
I disagree with that, by the way. I'm not of those people.
Yeah,
I wash my hands.
People don't literally point to the nebula and go, this is evidence of God existing, but it's just one of those things where images are quite loading. But it's a nebula and you can kind of see the fingers there. And then some people say that, well, this is so beautiful, this is so far away from us, and yeah, it's just like a hand. This is evidence there's some deeper meaning to this. Whereas to me, this is like the clearest of ones. They're not big, it's just gas particles that happen to be arranged in a shape that we recognize. But that doesn't mean anything. So the same way I'd say with the vase thing, actually I'd say it is kind of possible for there to...
Wait, because you make good points. Let me just jump in. So with the nebula, that's the shape of a hand, would we then argue that shape and the shape of the hand fulfills a specific purpose for which it depends upon that shape?
What do you mean?
So with a hand, we use hands to shape people's hand, to hold things, to test the temperature, to live our life. Without a hand, we'd be handicapped. So it's like with the nebula, what I'm saying is that does it do something that is dependent upon its shape, that say the hand is? Because again, we're doing an eisegesis. We're saying because the hand fulfills such and such purpose, therefore we're seeing that shape there, therefore that's amazing, it's a hand. I think that's a stretch. That's why I don't agree with that stuff. Even with horoscopes, they say these stars are aligned in such and such, it looks like a lion. People do this, isn't it? They lie on their back, they look at clouds, and they go, that looks like a sausage.
It's called pareidolia.
That looks like an egg, or that looks like a fish. That doesn't mean that that is an egg, or that is a fish, or
Do you understand
or
what
whatever.
pareidolia is?
He comes every week. He just comes to
No,
discussions
he
and he
wants
just
to attack
trolls.
me, you see.
He just keeps.
I'm asking a question. The vase, he says, that vase exists, doesn't it?
So
Yes? The vase exists.
welcome
Just
to.
a troll, and he born a troll,
That's what they do.
and he will die like a troll,
Well, we
and he will
asking a
not
question.
Yeah, so you made a good point.
Pareidolia, what is
So
pareidolia?
when it comes to the.
You know what?
Do you want to go?
Oh, well.
Okay, that's fine. No. Really nice to meet you. No, nice to meet you. Out of respect in Islam, we don't. Yeah, with women. Yeah, really nice speaking to you guys.
It was interesting too,
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Here is your chance to defend yourself. Why running away?